Welcome to Behind the Lines, coming to you from the socialist, Marxist lines of Washington State. It's a crazy liberal petri dish for the rest of the country, folks. Stay up to date with all the great news right here. Green energy and climate change and all this is coming back. Big buzzwords again. Biden has embraced this policy that we need to make all these changes for the climate. And here in Washington, Governor Jay Inslee has also come out with the budget for 2021, which includes many changes because of climate-related issues. Lots of new spending, lots of new taxes, and I'm just wondering if it's truly about climate or if it's more about the government finding new ways to tax us and get money. My good friend recently had a solar system installed in his house, and I think solar is great. I think it's a great way to supplement or create your own energy and have a backup if something happens to the grid. But he was showing me on his app how much energy they produce, and during the summer, a couple months, they actually produced just at their home one megawatt of energy, which is a lot. And so he doesn't have batteries on his system, but all the excess energy that his home doesn't use goes directly back to the power company, and they basically buy it from him, and they don't pay him, but they give him credits toward his power bill. And for a lot of the year, he's only paying $15 a month for power. He's got 29 solar panels. He does have some trees around his house, so he doesn't get 100%, but just wondering if one house can produce that much. Why aren't they putting solar panels on everything? On the top of apartment buildings, on the top of skyscrapers, on the side of skyscrapers, on homes. Why aren't they providing more, credits or supplements or whatever to people to encourage people to do this and create energy for the power company? It's not taking up, they don't have to have any new land to do that. This could all be done on existing structures. They're not in the way because they're up on the roof or whatever. So if it was truly about, because if one home could pump out 1 megawatt, imagine what a city or a whole neighborhood or, all the downtown buildings with solar panels, how much that could pump out. The system is already existing to use, so you don't have to build anything new. You don't have to install any new lines or anything. It's just a matter of installing the solar panels and feeding that power directly into the electric company's systems. So why isn't that part being proposed or being done? That's what I want to know. You've got in Washington, Inslee so big on these wind farms, and I've talked about this one before, but the Wild Horse Wind and Solar Facility in eastern Washington generates up to 273 megawatts, which is decent, obviously, but that's 149 wind turbines, and it takes up 10,000 acres. That's not doable. You can't. Where are we going to put all these turbines? You can't. There's not that much property, and then you're dependent upon wind. So it's got to be someplace where you're going to actually get enough wind to get that kind of use out of it. They put them out in the ocean, but you want to go to the beach and look at 200 wind turbines sitting in the surf? I mean, come on. Uh, it's just not. It's not. It's not very realistic, I don't think. They say the average onshore wind turbine produces about 2.5 to 3 megawatts. I mean, it just seems to me it makes more sense to put solar panels on everything, on every home, on all the buildings. It's not in the way. If you're going to spend $500 billion on climate energy stuff, maybe it should be spent on doing something like that. In contrast, most coal power plants produce about 500 megawatts, and obviously they want to get away from that, but just as a general rule, a megawatt can supply around 650 average homes. So it just seems to me, if you were being reasonable and really concerned about climate, that these solar panels would be the way to go, instead of all this other crap that here in Washington is being proposed. Wind turbines that take up tens of thousands of acres of land. He wants carbon tax, all this garbage. And they want to do away with natural gas to heat your home, which means they want everybody on the electrical grid. And at least here in Washington, the electric companies are controlled by government. So you're talking about tax, you're talking about raising rates. It's just another way for them to take your money and for government to create more bureaucracy. If they were really concerned about the climate, they'd do the easiest, fastest, most inexpensive thing they could do to make some real changes, and putting solar panels that are readily available and the technology is already in place would make the most sense. Even in Washington, where the weather isn't that great, if you have enough of them pointed at the sky, you're still going to get a good amount of energy. But that just doesn't fit into their paradigm of taking your money. And when you're paying $15 a month for power, well, that's not what they want. So it's not really about the climate. It's not really about making things better. It's always, when it comes to the government, it's always about the money. Anyway, something to think about. Maybe write your senators about, look into it yourself. I think it's a good option for everybody to have some kind of power backup to, in case something happens to the grid. So anyway, folks, have a great day. Be safe.